Welcome to the Crimson Tide Connection, your home for Crimson Tide sports. And in this edition, I'm joined by the head coach of the Alabama men's tennis team, George Husack. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Sure thing. Happy to be back again.
Yeah, glad to have you. You had a pretty good weekend this past weekend. You picked up a couple wins over Furman and Southern Miss to go 2-0 on the weekend. Can you talk about this past weekend and what that does for your team going forward?
Yeah, it was a great end to the non-conference season. I think by far our best match competing-wise from top to bottom against Southern Miss. We had to start the day indoors with Furman, and I thought we did well there, but then it got even better in the afternoon, and some guys like Carlos Taborga really competed their tails off. Harris Barnard and Stuart Kenyon, he lost his match, but he fought. I mean, everyone fought really well, so it was great. And we didn't have Jared in the second match, so everyone had to step up a bit. So.
Well, Coach, what does that do going into your SEC portion of your schedule this weekend, as you'll do? What does that do for you confidence-wise going into that?
Well, certainly I think that, overall, Saturday was a lot of fun. I mean, we were loud. Guys were, just fighting the entire time, and that's what we're going to need moving forward. I mean, the heat's definitely getting cranked up now. With our competition, we're facing much tougher teams. But again, we have to rely on what we do in our last match, and that is, our competitiveness and how well we stick to basics. We've created some individualized plans for each guy that guys have started last week, and that's really for the duration of our conference schedule. So I think it builds a lot of character, a lot of confidence, and that's what we want.
Well, Coach, this past weekend you mixed up your lineup in doubles as well as singles. What kind of goes into the thought process of that to forming this team up when you start making out that lineup?
Yeah, we were having a practice last week, and I just decided to rotate David and Becker, and really I think both guys add a lot to their respective doubles teams, and just to kind of change it up. I think they both have some strengths. I think David is really loose. And again, I think with Becker being a freshman, he can be in that top spot with Jared. He and Jared have done well, but I just thought to try it out, and I think it worked out pretty well. So we've maintained that for this upcoming weekend, and also moved some guys around in the singles lineup. So it was, just you kind of go with your gut, and my gut was saying make a change and see what happens from it.
It worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it sure did. It sure did.
Another guy that's done pretty well in singles is Daniil Proskura. He played in the number one spot for the first time against Southern Miss. He's 12-0 on the season in singles. What does it do to have a guy like that kind of set the tone for the lineup? And does he kind of help maybe motivate the other guys when they see him and how well he's playing?
Absolutely. I mean, his switch is flicked on, and it hasn't even wavered. There's no dimmer on that switch at all. I mean, it is 100% on. Yeah. And even in our pre-match talks, we got up to do the huddle, and you'd think the guy was going into war. I mean, he's that fired up, and he's so excited not only to go into the battle, to the match, but even after. He feels so good. I mean, he's got so much confidence at this point. This morning at weights, I mean, he was, really pushing it, and if anything, that's going to definitely rub off on some other guys, and there's a reason why he's being successful is because he's just eating it all up. So it's great for him. I'm really happy for him, and I think it'll have a positive impact on everybody else.
Well, Coach, as you said, you wrapped up your non-conference portion of your schedule this past weekend with 2 great wins. This weekend, though, you start SEC play here at home, and you host the 10th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels on Friday, and then on Sunday you host 11th-ranked Mississippi State Bulldogs. Can you talk about having those 2 top-ranked teams coming into Tuscaloosa and kind of how you feel like you match up against them? Yeah,
both are extremely good. The Rebels have always been very talented. I would say from a competitive standpoint, I mean, they're always, in my experience of being at the NCAAs, they're always the one that you fear the most because they've always got the talent and the skill to beat anybody. And what we've been kind of focusing on is our competitiveness, and to just be complete fighters out there. And that's been maybe a little bit their Achilles heel in years past, is how well do they fight. But they're good, and I think that'll only raise our game and our intensity. Hail State on Sunday, those guys they compete their butts off. So they're maybe not as talented all the way through their lineup, but those guys are very good. And I remember seeing them at the ITA Regional Championships last fall. They all came in and they were warming up, and you could hear them. They were loud, and they're not just yelling. I mean, they sweat. They sweat and they work. And some of our guys stopped to watch them practice. And so again, I think that's going to bring out the best in us as well. So it's good. It's good. I'm glad we're facing both of them this weekend.
Well, Coach, with you hosting the 10th ranked team in the country and the 11th ranked team in the country this weekend, it's an opportunity for the fans, for the Alabama fans and the tennis fans in the area to come out and see some great tennis. And I know you'd love to have a great crowd out this weekend.
Yep, I still have my case of sunblock from last weekend. We had an unbelievable sunset for that Southern Miss match. Yeah. I wish I had pictures of it because it was a great postcard, with the facility and the pink and orange sky. And this weekend is supposed to be clear but chilly. But great tennis this weekend for sure.
Well, Coach, that matchup against Ole Miss is on Friday at 3 p.m. and on Sunday, the Tide hosts the Mississippi State Bulldogs at 1 p.m. So fans, come out and support the Tide this weekend as they host those two nationally ranked teams here in Tuscaloosa. Coach, good luck this weekend. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
For head coach George Husack, I'm Chris Franklin, and that's it for this edition of the Crimson Tide Connection.
Roll Tide, roll.
Roll Tide, roll. I was ready for it that time.